Good afternoon. This is James with 77 Financial Group. You're listening to 15 Minutes of Finance, where in the next 15 minutes, I bet I can get you excited about investing. Let's do it. All right. We're back at it again on a Saturday. We have a week of news to cover, and a week it was. We got wars. We got crypto companies going public. We got oil at skyrocketing prices. We got all-time highs for Oracle. We got tons and tons and tons of stuff going on. And guys, we got a term of the day because the industry, the world, investments, they're changing, and we got to stay up with our edumacation, okay? So we got stablecoin is going to be our term of the day, but I did want to talk about that crypto company really quick because it's applicable to the term of the day. So I'm sure you guys have heard, if you guys are paying attention to anything in the stock market this week, outside of the massive war that continues to, I don't even know what the term would be, disappoint the stock market, I guess, that's happening in the Middle East. We had IPOs. It was either late last week or early this week that Circle IPO'd. And I just want to read real quick their definition of what they do. And then I'm going to jump into the term of the day, which is stablecoin. Very important you guys understand this stuff. Even if Bitcoin goes to zero, okay, even if Ethereum, Solana, XRP won't go to zero, but if all of these cryptocurrencies effectively drop in value, the future is still going to be digital. Okay, there will still be digital currencies. There will still be digital stocks, et cetera, et cetera. It's going that way. It's unstoppable. It's happening. So it's important to understand some of these terms. So Circle.com, known as Circle Internet Financial, is a global financial technology company focused on enabling the frictionless exchange of value using digital currencies and blockchain technology. They are the issuer of USD Coin, ticker USDC, a stable coin pegged to the US dollar, and offer a suite of services to support the use and adoption of USDC. Circle's mission is to raise global economic prosperity by making money movement as easy as sending an email. Okay, I don't even know what they're at. Let's take a look at what they did this week because all I know is I didn't invest in them. I don't know enough about Circle. I know Ripple was trying to buy them, and Ripple is the XRP, sort of like the platform. Ripple is the company behind it. I really like Ripple. I like XRP. You guys know this. Am I an expert on it? No, but I love the idea of sending money as easy as an email, as easy as a quick flick of the wrist, right? It's not that way right now. The SWIFT system, everything is extremely, extremely difficult, expensive, and time-consuming. And it seems that every time you try to wire money or send money across the world, across the globe, there's 16 hands in the pot. And what I love about this is that Circle, Ripple, XRP, these companies are trying to remove hands from the pot. And that's what we want. Okay, it's just like tariffs. Nobody likes tariffs, okay, because it's more hands in the pot. It's more money going to other people than it is going to the buyer and the seller, which is what we want. We want frictionless trade, frictionless money movement. Okay, so Circle, since it IPO'd, it looks like June 5th. So it was about a week. Oh, it was a little bit. I'm a little behind on this, but that's okay. It has effectively gone up 330%. So let me tell you, that's going to come down. That's not going to continue shooting up. Not because I don't believe in it. It's just that these IPO numbers tend to be extremely inflated. It's just a bunch of excitement. And this is something to be excited about. I know Ripple was talking about buying them earlier before they IPO'd. I'm sure that was just a little bit of fluff. Like, yeah, we're thinking about buying them. The stable coin concept is incredible. How they make money off of it, I still need to learn that. I need to understand that because a stable coin is just a coupon that represents a dollar on the blockchain. Okay, well, the USDC, sorry, not always a dollar, but it does represent, for Circle, USDC represents a dollar. Okay, let's go to our term of the day, which is a stable coin, which is the same thing as USDC. Let's see. What is a stable coin? A stable coin is a type of digital asset designed to maintain a stable value by pegging its worth to a reserve asset, such as a fiat currency like the US dollar, a commodity like gold, or a basket of assets. This stability addresses the more inherent volatility often found in other cryptocurrencies, making stablecoins especially suitable for everyday transactions and financial services. Okay, so we love that, right? That has everything to do with what we like here. Less hands in the pot equals more trade, better trade, more money for everybody. Okay, let's get to the news because, boy, oh boy, was it some news. Unfortunately, we had a pretty busy week, and we couldn't maintain the positive momentum we've had week over week over week. And so we'll jump into this here. Stocks tumbled and oil prices surged Friday afternoon as tensions between Israel and Iran intensified, heightening concerns about the possibility of a broader conflict in the region. Global markets endured a volatile ride on Friday following news overnight that Israel had launched strikes against Iran's nuclear program and key personnel. Losses for stocks had moderated Friday morning after steep early declines, but the selling picked up again in the afternoon after Iran began firing missiles towards Israel. The Dow Jones Industrial Average declined 1.8 or more than 700 points, while the S&P 500 and tech-heavy NASDAQ composite shed 1.1 and 1.3% respectively, closing near their lows for the session. Coming into today's session, the major indexes were on pace to post weekly gains for the third consecutive week as investors welcomed news of progress on trade deals and better-than-expected reports on inflation. The sharp declines Friday put the indexes into negative territory for the week. West Texas Intermediate futures of the U.S. crude oil benchmark jumped 7.6% to 73.2 per barrel after moving as high as $77.60 earlier in the day, the highest level since January, amid concerns about possible supply disruptions. Gold futures rose 1.5% to $3,455 an ounce. That's a lot. Near their highest level in 2 months as some investors turned to the traditional safe haven asset. Travel stocks were among the big decliners on Friday. Delta Airlines and United Airlines each dropped about 4%, while Airlines American tumbled 5%. Carnival Corp and Norwegian Cruise Lines both declined about 5% as well. Shares of the world's largest technology companies, which have been at the forefront of the stock market's recent rally, were mostly lower. Chipmaker Nvidia and Broadcom declined 2% and 3% respectively, while Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Alphabet, Meta also lost ground, and Tesla rose about 2% after having a 4-day winning streak snapped yesterday. Among other noteworthy tech sectors, Adobe shares fell 5% after the design software developer failed to impress with its quarterly results. Oracle soared nearly 8% to another record high, pacing S&P 500 gainers as the stock continued to benefit from investor optimism about the enterprise software giant's rosy growth outlook. Oil sector stocks were sharply higher, tracking the move in crude. Oil producers Occidental Petroleum, OXY, and Diamondback Energy, ticker FANG, each added nearly 4%, while APA Corp jumped more than 5%. Oil majors ExxonMobil and ConocoPhillips both rose more than 2%. Defense sector stocks also gained ground amid the instability in the Middle East. Shares of Northrop Grumman, NOC, and Lockheed Martin, LMT, and RTX Corp, RTX, each rose more than 3%. Bitcoin was at 105,800 in late afternoon trading, up from an overnight low of less than 103,000. The digital currency traded above 110,000 earlier this week, approaching its record highs of just below 112,000. The yield of the 10-year Treasury note, which affects borrowing costs on all sorts of consumer and business loans, was at 4.1%, up from 4.36% at yesterday's close, and an earlier low of Friday at 4.32%, its lowest level in a month. The U.S. dollar index, which measures the performance of the dollar against a basket of foreign currencies, rose 0.3% to 98.14 after hitting a 3-year low yesterday. Okay. Let me look at my notes. What else did I want to talk to you guys about? We covered the news. Guys, the war. Okay, obviously this is a concerning situation globally. I'm going to try and just keep it professional and focused on the money here. It's an right? Shrug your shoulders. It's not really a big deal for stock markets, especially equities. Wars tend to be a buy the dip situation. There is immediate short-term volatility, but it doesn't really affect the equity markets, the stock market. It's a little morbid and a little, dismissive of the severity of the situation, but just as far as investments go, they tend to not really affect, anything longer than 6 months, maybe a year if we're just doing long-term, short-term definitions. But I would definitely say wherever we're at right now, because of the war, a year from now, it's not going to be because of the war. So that's what I mean by it's just a shrug off, not a big deal, an at moment. Obviously, we would like that to not be the situation, even though companies and sectors benefit from this stuff, right? Like we saw oil is getting a huge bump. Defense sector companies are getting a huge bump. Some of those companies don't even have anything to do with the current situation. It's just because they're in that industry. And we know that war is going to happen no matter what all the time. That's another reason why maybe sector diversification is a good idea into like utilities, war, energy, all of these different, we absolutely know we need these type of companies. I really like that for a diversified portfolio. Now, if you've been here for a while, you know how I feel about diversification. You tend not to be extremely wealthy with a very diversified portfolio. It's told to you to diversify by the best investors in the world, even by me. Not that I'm the best, I'm not. I just mean that among the best, they also say it. It's because they consider the average investor incapable of making great investment choices due to their emotional attachment, their recency bias, loss aversion. There's all these different behavioral financial terms. And so it's just best that the average investor diversify, which is a true statement. And how do you sum all that up? Most people are stupid. And by stupid, they just make the wrong choice too soon, too late, too much, too little. All of those things with the average investor is very true. That's why 95% of retail investors don't make money in the stock market. Okay. I wanted to talk about, we've been killing it with the time recently. I'm very happy. We almost made it under 15 minutes last time. I think this time we're going to do it. Guys, we have stocks to watch. Okay. We have stocks that we are watching. Me and my team here over at our firm, we're working on a stock grade score. Okay. Now, this is where we're going to punch a company we really like through this score system, and we're going to get a score out of it. And it's a very complicated, detailed process. Can't have any mistakes kind of thing. So it takes time. But we're really working on getting company scores for these positions, right? Because what's the point of all of this if you don't have stocks you like, if we're not investing? Okay. You guys all know we have Palantir, NVIDIA, HIMS, Big Bear AI has been one, KLAC, which is another one. These are all extremely tech-heavy stocks. That's because that's the future, right? You want to know where growth's going to be? It's probably going to be in AI. It's probably going to be in hardware and software and expansion. Robo-taxis with Tesla, Waymo, Google, all these things, it's all tech. So I was thinking about this. A lot of our companies, I'm like, geez, these are all just AI software companies. Like, where is, the food companies or the utility companies? We have, especially last year, we had a very diversified growth portfolio. We had Costco in there. We had Kava in there. What else did we have? That was, I don't think, everything else pretty much. Home Depot was in there. Waste Management was in there. Those are, technically growth. They performed like they were a growth company. So that's good. But the diversification isn't always our value here. I'm trying to pick stocks that we really, really like. Okay, so we have a stocks to watch moment. CEG, Constellation Energy Corporation, and TLN, Talen Energy Corporation. They are both nuclear energy companies. And we'll talk about KLAC too, because I haven't really brought that up to you, but we've been investing in KLAC for a little bit. KLAC is the company that makes, this is a wild explanation, but they make the tools that Taiwan Semiconductors or Broadcom or who else would be pretty. We'll just use those two. KLAC makes the tools that allows them to make the chips. So they're making like the tiny, minutest little screws and the tiny, minutest little data strip. KLAC is a very good company. They're very important. They're like the foundational pieces to an NVIDIA, to a Broadcom, to anything that does hardware. They're sort of at the very bottom of it, which I love, right? I think that's cool. It's cool to see the bottom up, top down process of a product. And geez Louise, talk about KLAC probably won't have rapid growth like the other companies, but I think you'd be hard pressed to find a better suited, I want to use the word stable, but I haven't really dove into their fundamentals. we'll just use it knowing that there's a disclosure there that I haven't really looked into their fundamentals. There's stability in the fact that all of these companies need them, right? And all of those companies are needed by every other company. Almost every other industry would benefit from AI, software, hardware partnership, okay? So I really like that. That shows a qualitative value. And then, talking about the other two that we had mentioned, CEG and TLN. Look, I think it was CEG made a deal with Amazon. Yeah, it was Talon. So yeah, TLN, they just got this deal with Amazon. Amazon's breaking into the AI space. All of this excitement, hype with AI, even with cryptocurrencies, okay? There's energy, a massive amount of energy needed. There's really only one way to get it. As far as we know, obviously we have all this alien stuff going on. We don't know what we don't know. Okay, so as far as we know, this is the best energy companies in the world, nuclear energy companies. This is what these AI companies, this expansion, they're going to be using them. Okay, they need to power miles and miles and miles of conductors, essentially. Just they need an immense amount of energy, and these two companies, I think, are at the forefront of it. And to just go back on the alien stuff, I just meant like there's all this stuff about these ships being able to do, it seems like they're manipulating gravity and immense amounts of energy. And I don't know if it's real or not. I have no idea. But I do know if there's that kind of energy out there, then that's what we need to be using to be powering our systems. But nobody's doing it. We're still using this nuclear energy stuff, which is great. It's very clean and it's perpetual almost. It's not entirely perpetual, but it's very, very close. And you're able to have a massive amount of output of energy, which is what's needed for the blockchain, cryptocurrency, and AI. So I really like both of those. Now, I did want to talk, guys, eventually this is going to be behind a paywall, okay? Palantir, SoundHound, Kava, Costco, HIMS, KLAC, BBAI, and BBAI. BBAI, that is kind of like a mini Palantir. They are, if you ever go to security at some of the world's biggest airports, or at least in American airports, when you take your photo really quick, right? When you give the security person your ID, that photo they take of you, that's BBAI. So you should be able to see Big Bear somewhere on that, on those cameras or around those computers. So take a look next time if you're in the security line, and let me know. Leave a comment if you see Big Bear, because I think that I think they're definitely expanding in the right direction. Now, they are a penny stock, so there is significantly more risk there. I just want to put that out there. But they do have deals with, what is the security called? TSA. They do have deals with that and with different airlines. So airports. Very, very happy with that. Okay, back to the paywall. This will eventually be behind a paywall. And I'm only saying that because this is value, right? These are extremely valuable things. It takes me a lot of time. We may or may not be investing actual client money in these. And it's important that, I give you guys actual valuable data, and value is what you're going to get from this stuff. Okay. We are never going to suggest a purchase price and a sell point. That is way too detailed. That the SEC would absolutely consider that to be financial advice, which we only give on a personable person-to-person basis. Everybody's situation is different. So we don't get you a get in, get out price. We just give you stocks we like to watch. So for example, if that's confusing to you, Palantir. I would not recommend anybody right now buy Palantir. Okay, especially someone who's 10 years from retirement. Now, if you're 20 years, you could make the argument, and I think it's fair, hey, this is just a great company to own. Do I think there's going to be a big drawback here, probably near 100 again? Yeah, I do. I do think there's going to be a buying opportunity. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to buy. I'm going to wait until that happens, and I'm going to buy. It does trade at a massive PE, and it's forward PEs and 200s too. So even the projection, which considers revenue growth, which considers deals, considers things, it's 10x what it needs to be. We'd love to see a PE of between 20 and 40 for Palantir. Probably not going to happen. Just like it doesn't happen for Tesla, it's probably never going to happen for those companies because they're so innovative. So that's something to consider. We don't want to give you guys any get in, get out points. These are just stocks we're watching. And eventually it's going to be behind a paywall. Okay. Now I'm not saying we're going to charge you $100, but it might be $10 a month. Okay. $10 a month to see the stocks that we're liking, that we're investing in. We're doing all the legwork for you. And as always, you should do your own research. But now at least you maybe have a head start on what to research. So anyways, for now, at least for the next couple of quarters, this will be free stuff. Stocks to watch, CEG, Constellation Energy Corp, TLN, Talon Energy Corp, KLAC, KLA Corporation, a lot of corps we got going on here, and BBAI, Big Bear AI. Yeah, those are the stocks we're watching. And then obviously we got Palantir and NVIDIA. We're watching all those. HIMS has been a good winner for us this year. Yeah, guys, that's it for today. I am now officially 6 minutes over, but we gave you some value here at the end. So, guys, as always, invest early, invest often. We'll see you next week.